more social, who want to be more engaged. So in order to do that, you have to be not invited to the community, but if you're going to be this type of person who want to be an activist, who want to help with solutions, who want to join committees and boards, you have to be made aware of what the natives and the people here think are issues. So one of the issues we have is gentrification. Um, if you all ever have a chance to get a BlackUnion community dialogue, gentrification is one of the 5 major issues that plague the Black community. So one would be gentrification, 2 would be police genocide, 3 would be mass incarceration, 4 would be lack of access to wealth, and then 5 would be miseducation. Here in Chestertown, the mass incarceration and the police genocide doesn't really affect our community as much as it does nationwide. But gentrification is a very big issue here in Chestertown. So you all are here in this part of the community dialogue on these next 3 sections on gentrification, community engagement, and then solutions are going to be a part of discussing the problem, but most importantly, what the Town of Chestertown and the Equity Advisory Committee and a host of organizations want is you all to be a part of the solution. Not just us giving you lip service saying, hey, you all done great today by talking about these issues. No, we want to engage you, entice you, prepare you to come and do the work that so many people in this town and organizations are doing. So I'll turn it over to Councilman Tolliver to talk about gentrification in Chestertown. After Tolliver closes, Councilman Hers has the floor. After Councilman Hers has the floor, it goes back to the facilitator, Megan, and she will lead us into this discussion. You got to unmute the Councilman.
Is there any particular point of view that you want me to speak on gentrification? I'll tell you what, I speak on it from someone who is a lifelong resident of the town and has seen how it has affected the Black community. There are neighborhoods in Chestertown that at one time were thriving Black neighborhoods, downtown, uptown, midtown, that over the years, people lived in these houses, but didn't necessarily own these properties. So an opportunity comes along for the owner to sell that property, and they do. Somebody comes back in and redevelops the property and develops it to a point of view where me, as the previous resident, can't afford to move back into that neighborhood. Thus allowing somebody else who can afford to come in to that neighborhood. And what happens is now the property taxes go up. So if I'm one of the houses that hasn't been affected by somebody buying me out, now I can't afford my property taxes and I end up losing my house anyway. What gentrification has done in town has very slowly ravaged the central Black community. It started way back in the 60s where the downtown, and when I say downtown, I mean the lower Cannon Street area, and the uptown, meaning the Calvert Street area. The downtown area got moved out to what's known as Quaker Neck now, and Washington Park became the neighborhood that got moved out to that part of town. And very slowly and surely, these neighborhoods got encroached upon by those who could afford to redevelop the properties. 2 things are an issue in gentrification: home ownership, the ability to be able to own a home. I don't want to necessarily say tax issues, because a lot of the tax issues are related to those people who might have been my age, who grew up in those houses and then left and didn't want to come back and just let the house go. A solution from a governmental point of view, that's a difficult question to answer. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't particularly have a solution for it, because we generate our revenue off of property taxes. So it's in as a government official who's trying to meet a budget every year, and I'm looking at the bottom line and I'm seeing, like you heard John, you heard the note the other night, how we got this this extra $230,000 of property tax money coming in. I'm looking at that and I'm like, well, that's $200,000 that we didn't have before that now I can apply to some kind of other town amenity. So what do? I realize that it's a problem. The best thing I can do is try to educate people on the need to get or try to develop some policy that helps people be able to stay in their homes. Now that's a broad statement. I don't really know what that means or how to define what that means, but that's just that's just thinking off the top of my head as to how that could work. How can we get people to stay in their homes? You got to have some place for them to work. So it's a big issue. Where are people going to work to be able to afford a home to live in Chestertown? If somebody like, let's say Kat, I want to call her Kit Kat because that's what I've heard of being called. But she and her husband, and she's got 2 little kids. Let's say that they've chosen to stay in Chestertown. I don't know where her husband works. I don't know where she works. But let's say there's a young person online today that has come to Washington College. They like living in Chestertown. They meet a young man, meet a young lady, or meet a significant other, and they want to make Chestertown their home. Where are you going to go to work? Okay, you get a job. How are you going to be able to afford the house that you live in when the historic district is ever expanding, raising the property value? Okay, so you get a home. Well, now you got to travel so far to get a livable wage to be able to sustain this lifestyle that everybody wants to protect and save as being related to colonial Chesterton. Look, you're taking me down a road that I didn't really want to go.
That would be a perfect segue to Councilman Hurst.
You're taking me down a road that I wasn't ready to go on, my brother. But we out there now. We out there. That's related to a colonial history. I'll put it that way. That's a nice way of getting out of it. But going back to what we were really talking about, and that's gentrification. Now, let me flip it. I've talked about what it's like to be on the one side of gentrification. Let me flip it to the other side. I'm new to town. I've been very successful. Got a great business up in Philly, DC, Baltimore, wherever, Annapolis. Made a lot of money. I come to Chestertown and I see that the property taxes are cheap. I come to Chestertown and I see that I can buy 3 or 4 houses in a neighborhood that's used to be depressed, and I can uplift that community thinking now. I can uplift this community. So, okay, I do this. I renovate these houses, and now I can't find anybody to afford to live except somebody who can afford to live in it. When this person moves into my newly, did you lose my connection? You lost my connection there for me.
You good, but I'm gonna give you the wrap up look.
Okay. Well, let me just leave it at that. In some circles, gentrification is not a bad thing, and I'll end right there. I'm sorry, my brother, but
no, it's all good.
Yeah, I got a lot to say about that. I got a lot to say about it, as you can tell.
Hence why that's one of the topics, because we're looking how you almost went down those other roads. Those are the roads we're trying to prep for to go down. Councilman Hurst.
Yeah, so I'll echo a lot of what Councilman Tolliver had to say. The downtown area, the neighborhood, the traditionally Black neighborhoods, certainly in my ward and sort of ward adjacent to Ellsworth, it's difficult, right? Because you can run a business, to Councilman's point, in Philadelphia, Baltimore, wherever, own a home, sell it, and then move to Chestertown and buy an old brick home or a colonial home, something that you sort of romantically internalized as your retirement plan. You can afford the property taxes, you can improve the home, and that lifts up the community, but it makes it more difficult for folks who, of any race or any color or any gender, who are stationed here in Kent County and have a difficult difficult time finding a well-paying job to then afford those homes and keep them up and afford the taxes. So it's a really tough problem. But I want to talk a little bit about history too, right? So I've lived in town for 20 years, and one of the things that breaks my heart, I hear it regularly when I speak with um, different folks around town, the idea that you don't feel welcome downtown, right? A neighbor of mine, the last Black resident downtown that I'm aware of, recently sold his house and moved out to Queen Anne's County, and he would tell me stories, and he would say with some cheer, when I was growing up as a boy, you didn't cross Cannon Street. And I've heard this story put another way, because he lived sort of down on the boardwalk, which is where Wilmer Park is now. And I've heard another way, you don't walk down, you don't go on the bricks, right? You don't come downtown where the bricks are, you stay uptown. And those are really, really hard sort of mores to break down, right? And to find ways to welcome people downtown. I think that the Black Lives Matter mural in Memorial Plaza or on 200 block of Queen Street made some steps in that direction, but it is nowhere near what we truly need to do. So there's this history that's difficult to break down, right? There are perceptions that just feed on themselves. I'm sensitive to it, but I, not being from here, being white, and being male, and all of the things that I ship with, just being alive, I can't understand it. I don't have the vocabulary, other than to physically, when I talk to somebody, invite them downtown and say, "Come on, let's go for a walk," right? And I've done that. So there's this history that's tough. The other thing is there's speaking about starting businesses, especially downtown. There are a few variables here. The first is there are very few actual storefronts to start a business in, right? So that's one limiting factor. And if you are not plugged into the business community, the Downtown Chestertown Association, or whatever, you may not hear about an opening of a storefront before it's already been swept up by somebody else. There are a few available, for instance, the dry cleaners, right? But the dry cleaners you could get for pretty cheap, but you've got to clean up all the dry cleaning chemicals that are there, right? So it's a really hard location to kind of get businesses to come into. Any business, we'd love to have any business come in and do it, but if we wanted to target it to minority communities, very hard. And there's always these sort of extra variables, right? And I'm going to talk about some of those now, which is
Hold on. Not some of those. Pick one, because we got to keep it moving.
yes, sir.
Got to keep us on the schedule. I got to keep us on the schedule.
I completely understand.
You two have turned into politicians on us. Close the remarks. Come on, man. Close it up.
Okay, so fair enough.
Man, look, you got us on here now, man.
That's right. Yeah, you asked. The thing that I would go sort of dovetailing into that business question is education, right? So I was just having this conversation with somebody, a white business owner in actually Ellsworth's ward, and he said, a Black man can open a business just like I did. And I said, well, yeah, that's true, kind of, but did you think about all of the people that helped you in your business, right? You probably had a mentor. You probably had somebody teach you everything that you need to know. You probably had a credit history, and you probably knew the people that worked at the bank, and you probably weren't judged on your skin color when you walked into the bank, and you knew how to fill out all the documentation, or somebody helped you with it. A lot of these things are missing in the Black community and minority communities generally. And so, getting to a point where we're educating and mentoring people to be able to open up their business and be able to rent that storefront and be able to sell goods, is a big problem too. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you.
Oh, could I say just one more real quick thing?
Yes.
Policies. So
hold on.
Okay, yeah. I'll let it go.
Facilitator has the floor.
All right. But I do have something to say about policies.
Megan, go ahead, sweetheart.
Yeah, so now I want to open it up to like students and everyone else to talk about maybe your own experiences, if you witnessed gentrification, what some like things are when you see something, you know, is gentrification, and even things that you've seen in Chestertown that point to the existence of gentrification. But
Yes.
really, yeah.
Don't worry, I got you, Megan. I'm gonna call a name. Erica.
Hi. um, yeah, I mean, as a college student, I can't really speak towards gentrification in Chestertown because in my experience of watching it, it's something that happens over multiple years, and I've only been in Chestertown for 2. But I'm from Washington County. For the most part, I can't even touch on Hagerstown because they're trying to gentrify and it is causing a lot of problems and a lot of tension. But I see a lot of the effects of it in specifically our schooling system. Because when you look at Hagerstown, there is like this little area of halfway in Hagerstown, which is split into 3 different school districts for no good reason. And the primary reason is because we have North Hagerstown High, where a lot of white, a lot of wealthy students go, South Hagerstown High, which is a lot of minority students and a lot of lower income students, and then Williamsport High School, which is my high school, which is really mixed. It's more of lower class white people. A lot of us are agricultural, a lot of us are farming families. And South Hagerstown High School has always been kind of classified as the lesser of the high schools. It's been classified as violent, mostly just because there are Black students there. But it's been like classified as violent, as lesser, as having a worse educational program, as having bad materials for students, entirely because they don't get the same funding that the other schools get, because they are in a lower income area. They have lower house values, which means that there are lower housing taxes.
The connection.
Exactly, the connection that was being made earlier. So while I haven't seen things like Black neighborhoods being gentrified, replaced with parks, with businesses, unlike what I've seen happen in downtown Frederick, in Hagerstown, a lot of this has occurred already and is, I see, mostly playing out in the school system. But also, I am just in college, so high school schooling system is really what I have the most experience in.
I think you bring up a good point though, because that's an effect of gentrification. That's an excellent point, actually. I didn't know Hagerstown was big enough to have 3 high schools. I've never been out there before.
Uh, yeah, I mean, there are more out here in Washington County, but it's that kind of area where it's like, it's all technically Hagerstown right there, but they split them into 3 different schools.
Can you all hear me clearly?
Take it back.
Let me ask the college students this, since we're talking about gentrification. How many of you college students, by show of hands, have came off of campus and spent the day in downtown Chestertown? Everyone, basically. So, and you all chime in, this is basically for the students right here. When you all come downtown, tell me about the dynamic of the town. What do you see? What do you do when you come downtown? Where do you shop, if you shop? And then also, what is the gender, not the gender, the ethnicity of the majority of the people you see? I'll start with Jonah.
Okay. So when I go to Chestertown, I am more uncomfortable than I am comfortable. And I spend my time down there, you know, when my friends want to go to, like, we have limited spots where we go. If we're shopping, there's a street, I forget what the street is called, but like if you go around where the Dunkin' Donuts is, there's like a bookstore, and like there's a bookstore with a cat in it and things like that.
Book plate.
Yeah, that. So, you know, that's normally where we go, in that little area. And when I'm comfortable, when I'm down there, the ethnicity that I most see is I mostly see white people. Like, that's it. I do, like, my daily thought whenever I go out anywhere in public is, can I find another Black person? So, you know, and you know, in Chestertown, it's kind of hard because I'm just like, I can't see any. And those who I do see that are Black, have been, this is just from my personal experience, I've seen that are homeless. I haven't seen those who have, and they would normally hang out by the fountain, but I haven't seen any who like have like owned a home, a car, things like that. Like most of the Black people that I see are homeless. And that's basically my experience. So yeah, I'm just more uncomfortable than I am comfortable because of the kind of looks that I get while I'm down in Chestertown, but that's just me.
All right. Any other Washington College student? Chime in, chime in.
It feels like I'm on the cast of Gilmore Girls when I'm going into Chestertown. When I'm going there, I just feel like the music playing in the background, and it seems so quiet, but you can feel that energy and animosity, like I'm not supposed to be here. Like, and I feel like most of Black folks, they either live in Rock Hall, over in Queen Anne's County, and we don't see them that often. So I would say, especially for the Black students on campus, we feel kind of isolated. And that's why we're so close, because we don't see anybody else except us.
Mm.
I just wanted to chime in and say, because so I'm not as young as some of you Washington College students, but I'm not of age with the councilmen's. So I just wanted to give you guys.
Wait, hold on. Get her, Tyler. Get her.
I'm just saying from just for a different perspective, because they're a lot younger. And man, to hear Jonah say like he wasn't comfortable downtown, like my family's from here, so I came from Montgomery County to visit here like holidays and summertime. And man, downtown Chestertown was nothing but young Black people that were, like I always seen somebody in my family, or my mom had friends who were down there, and it was completely like, to hear you say that really tugged at me in a different kind of way, because that's not even the Chestertown that I knew coming here to visit. Like what I see today really is a complete different dynamic than before. Me and my uncle would ride late at night, and we would have the music up, and we would see, friends, and hey, how you doing? And it was almost all Black. Like I don't really recall seeing many white people in downtown Chestertown, when I was a little bit younger. So I just had to chime in and say that, because it wasn't always that way. And we're not talking 30 years ago. You know what I'm saying? This was, 15 or 20, but I can remember walking downtown in Chestertown and feeling welcome and feeling comfortable. And it is quite a shift, because I don't feel uncomfortable, but it feels a little displaced for myself sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Come on. Who else?
Yeah, to like jump in on the history thing. So I work at the Star Center with the Chesapeake Heartland Project. So I do a lot of
Wait. I like that. That was a shameless plug. Do that again. I like that. Do that again.
I work at the Star Center with the Chesapeake Heartland Project, and I do a lot of work interviewing like the elders in the community. And they tell me these wonderful stories about the Uptown Club and all of these Black-owned businesses flourishing within the community. And we had so many different outlets of leisure to go to, and then boom, it just disappeared. And they talk about how it shifted the culture within the community, because yes, it was segregation, then it was integration, but they said that they had some type of space of freedom. When you went to the Uptown Club, that was a way for them to let loose, have fun, have a drink. So to hear like us and our generation going downtown, it's like, I don't know if I should be down here. Maybe I need to go back up the street, because it's very weary. You feel like you're going back in time a little bit. And I thought maybe because it was like my city perspective, like I said, I'm from DC.
Shout out DC.
And speaking of gentrification, we have a huge problem with that. Like, it's a saying here that when you see condos being put up and random little plants and flowers and they're trying to beautify the city, that's how you know we're about to be up out of here. But
Facts.
yeah, like speaking to the elders within the community, and that's why I encourage everybody to do, because it wasn't always like this. Like, there was a specific time where Black people who had limited resources, they had running businesses, hair salons, they were combining different businesses, and it never looked the way that it did. And I remember hearing a community member talk about like how these families would have these houses and own these houses, and big people would come in and, hey, if they offer you a certain amount of money, what can you do? So I don't know about policy because I'm not a politician, but I know where my politics lie, and I'm all for free housing and everybody deserve a place to live. So yeah, I think gentrification is a really big issue.
Yes, yes, yes.
Can I add something? When it comes to, I want to speak more on like the uncomfortableness when I'm in town. Speaking as someone who's from Baltimore, and we have students who are Black and go to Washington College who are from Baltimore. The moment we got to Chestertown, we heard everything about the whole building a bridge from Baltimore to Chestertown, whatever that whole conversation was. We heard nothing but that. And part of that uncomfortableness comes from that conversation that we were consistently hearing from the moment we stepped on there. It was consistently talking about, what they view, what the residents of Chestertown, not all of them, but, from our point of view, a majority felt as though, we were ghetto, loud, Black, poor, all of that. There was this conversation that was coming from the moment we stepped in, and we're just hearing this. And that's part of the reason why, I'm uncomfortable stepping into Chestertown, because I'm looking at the residents and I'm like, some of y'all don't want me here. Some of y'all don't want me here. And I know that for a fact. So that's, part of the reason why, some of us, especially as Black students who are from Baltimore, are uncomfortable.
Okay. I'll take one more. This will be the last comment because I want to make sure we tie in this part of the conversation to some of the things you are talking about as far as solution and building that bridge. So last comment here, please. Queen, the floor is yours.
I don't mean to stir the pot a little bit,
Stir it.
No, like my class, Jonah, as soon as we got to campus, it was hate crimes. As soon as we got to campus, we were experiencing these things. And it's important that the college was putting policies in place, because I feel like the college cultivates the culture in Chestertown. I feel like this is very much.
Hold on, sweetheart. Queen, break that down.
Okay, so just thinking about the college itself, George Washington, being the first U.S. college, the foundation of white supremacy in the United States, and and members of the college, those who lived in Chestertown or those who lived in Kent County, they would go to the college. Some people worked at the college. It was in the heart of the community. It was a way for the community to make money. Yeah. So it continues to bring revenue to Chestertown. So us as students, we feeling uncomfortable, but we paying to keep the lights on.
Hello.
We the main customers within the town.
I like this group.
With policy being put in place, you have a school that was moving a little bit slow on having traffic cameras or even notifying students if incidents had occurred. And it's like, dang, are you serious?
Brother, preach.
This is happening.
I'm going to give the closing remarks to.
Just real quick, John.
Yes.
I just want to say to the young lady that spoke, she talked about how campus affected policy. Back in March 2020, when the students decided they wanted to have that rally downtown at Town Hall, that was the beginning of the social change process that started to happen in Chestertown throughout up to right now.
That was March 4th, 2020. I think that was the date.
That was the beginning. That the work that these young people did, and the awareness that these people brought to the table was the beginning of the social justice movement that started to begin in Chestertown. I just wanted to say that to her because she was a part of that, and I appreciate it.
I'm going to make a comment on that. Mr. Queen disagrees. I think the college, and here's where the part's going to come up next about building the bridge. I understand that statement he just made and how one could say, yes, that's true. But I think the college sometimes do a smash and grab on our community as far as the Chestertown community. Yeah, I know, I get your point, but I want the college to have some sense of accountability on their end as well.
Yeah, I'm with you on that too.
Yeah. But I agree with what you said though, but I don't want the college to feel like they've done enough to get no blessings around here. Because what, and I said, if you all watch the playback of that day, I said my comments as soon as I seen you all get up and leave out. I said, Washington College comes here, they ask for our help, and every single time the community is front and forward for it. No matter what it is at Washington College, we're right there. You all came and asked us for some help. And in the middle of the town coming together, you all get up and leave because you had something.
You're muted.
Somebody, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go over the last thing. In the middle of this event when the community came together to rally around you all's cause, you get up and leave in the middle of that meeting. So to me, I looked at it as, now I have a great partnership with Washington College over the last 10 years as Bayside Hoyas. But as an individual and as a Black man in King County and in Chestertown, when you all got up and left, I said, that's what they do every single time they want us to help. They leave their case on our step, get all of us up in the uproar, and then they leave and go back into their bubble. Now, I'm going to say that because it's going to lead into the part about accountability on both sides and how we all are going to start working together to fix a lot of these solutions. Gentrification, lack of social issues, stronger force in politics. A lot of that is, and I believe this, I teach this in all my groups and programs, the youth. You guys are the people who are going to lead this. In order to lead this, we have to hear you all and then give you the power to move this movement forward. So I'll give the floor to my lovely co-host, Megan, to end with closing remarks on gentrification before we go back to the agenda.
Yeah, so thank you all for participating in that. I mean, something that Eric could address this, how gentrification has issues like with schooling, education, access to just like transportation and food and things like that. But it also has a much more like personal and even like psychological impact on the people who it's impacting the most, which is traditionally neighborhoods of color and these low income. And I think that was said beautifully by Jonah, Paris, and Queen, and Catherine, how Chestertown has changed and it's now hostile and uninviting. And I think that is a side of gentrification that not a lot of people see, and it's not studied a lot because you focus on what's the property taxes, what's the schooling, and it has a much more personal issue. So thank you all for sharing. And we're going to talk about some future plans that we have to work on gentrification at the end of this. So I will share my screen and we'll introduce the next topic.
So while she's sharing the screen, is everyone having fun? No, y'all got to unmute the mics. I ain't hear a word.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
To the students, is this the type of community dialogue you were interested in having?
Yeah. Especially on the accountability thing, because I don't want to like move past that, because the Washington College students are a mess too. I hear the ways in which they talk about the local community, this whole saying of the crack corner and all of these different racial, negative, nasty stereotypes that they put on the community. So we can't do all of this rah, 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 rah. The community need a rally around us, but also we need to make sure we check our local peers and make sure they're not disrespecting the local community where you moved yourself and went to school in their community. So it needs to be accountability on both ends.
I like that, Paris. So what I'm going to do, since you have the floor, Paris, I'm going to ask you to read section B in the community dialogue, community engagement, please.
Community engagement, a dynamic relational process that facilitates communication, interaction, involvement, and exchange between an organization and a community for a range of social and organizational outcomes.
Is everyone cool with that definition for community engagement? All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to focus on that part under that, building the bridge. So one of my tasks in all hats that I wear, Bayside Hoyas, BlackUnion King County, and the Equity Advisory Committee Chairman, is to engage the community, but then also put the action into that engagement. So for building the bridge, we're going to start asking some questions of what do you think it takes for one, the community to engage, and when I mean community, I mean the Chestertown residents and the Washington College student base. Those are the topics I'm talking about, building a bridge and connecting. So since we have a bunch of students here, I would like to ask some of the students, what do you all need to one, feel comfortable? We heard Jonah said he does not feel comfortable. What do you need to feel comfortable? What do you need to feel like you're a part of this town? And what do you need to be engaged and socially active? And that doesn't mean go protest and march. Social can mean hanging out, drinking some wine. Can y'all do adult beverages? Are y'all old enough?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Drinking wine, hanging out on First Fridays, and doing things of that nature. So what would you all like to see as engaging to you all? Don't even worry about it. Taylor.
Well, I think that one thing that's a big deal, even if it is really just a starting point, is like the community just being the ones to reach out and like put a BLM sign on their door or something. Like, I think that that is a very, very first step. And then like from there, I think that they should be coming to us to talk to us. And like, if you care about having people buy from you and stuff like that, like showing that you're transparent about what you care about, showing that your ideals align with ours and our goal for the world. Yeah, I don't know because I haven't experienced it enough yet, so I don't know exactly what it takes.
All right. Liv, you got any ideas, thoughts on building a bridge between the community citizens and the student body of Washington College?
I mean, I wholeheartedly agree with what, I'm sorry, who the previous person did. Taylor did say. Yeah, I do agree with that. I really don't have anything to add to that, but I do agree with what Taylor said.
Queen, go ahead, Queen.
I'm gonna let Paris go first because she had her hand up.
No. Facilitator has the floor. Paris, we just heard her. We're gonna go Queen, then Megan, then we're gonna shop around.
Alrighty. So, from my own experience, I think it's important to engage with the youth. So, like you said, be accountable from both sides. Us as college students, we can fit into our schedule to be providing mentorship towards the Chestertown youth, those who are from marginalized communities, Black and Brown individuals. So going to the elementary school or the community center or the library. Now, because of COVID, it makes these things difficult, but we can still provide virtual spaces as well as mutual aid programming. So for example, I know they have the farmers market in Chestertown, usually when it gets warmer. Where can that food go? Or creating a partnership with Acme. So instead of them throwing out the food, they can actually get that food back to the community. As well as my dream is having a block party, having the grill going, bouncy houses, and hopefully I get to see that before I leave Washington College.
I bet money you get to see that before you leave. But listen. We're gonna go to Megan. My bad. We're gonna go to Megan.
No, what I was just gonna say, it kind of bounces off with what Queen said. I mean, the first thing we have to do is introduce ourselves because I don't know many town members. Like I sometimes forget too that there's also like young people in Chestertown, like Catherine and MJ. I'm really happy you're here because it like reminds me that like there are like people kind of near college age that don't just attend Washington College that are in the community that we can engage with. But we have to meet them first. We have to have introductions and not just be secluded to Washington College. So the first step, and John, and I know we've talked about this, is getting out there and just meeting the people that we typically wouldn't meet at our campus.
Anyone else? We're gonna go with Elena, Paris, then Elizabeth.
Yes, this is something that we had a fantastic community unity day 2-3 years ago that we did in the road, on the street, between the neighbors and the campus, and the idea was really bridging the two communities. But I think just keeping that not just a one thing, that is every now and then, but just as a routine, as a habit, as a practice for both the students and the town is important. I wanted just to keep some ideas and
hold on, Elena, because
for the action I wait.
Yeah, because of the time restraints, I'm going to try to part two this, because it is a lot of action already built into this. And it's a lot of action that we need input from you all on. Okay. But I want to keep us on that 7 o'clock time for two reasons. One, I like how I draw y'all in, and then make sure you come for the solution and action part. But two, yes, this is a building of a town plan. This is a building of a bridge. This is a building of networking and communication. And we're not going to get to everything today, which is the accountability on both sides. We want you all to keep coming back. We should keep coming back, and that relationship needs to build. So Paris, and then we'll close with Elizabeth.
Okay, so for the students, not to plug in again, but that's what the Chesapeake Heartland Project is for. It's
shameless plug. Do it one more time. Shameless plug. One more time.
That's what the project is for. It's literally Washington College students creating these intergenerational conversations with the local community, because like you said, it is a lot of the older population there, and you feel like it's a disconnect. But when you actually facilitate these conversations, it is more of a connection, if anything. So getting involved at the school with already like programs that has outreach in the community. And then there's something called Legacy Day. And I know Miss Airley always encourages students to participate and volunteer. And that's another way for students to get engaged in the community. So we already have structural things at the college for people to, create these dialogues. You just have to be willing to put yourself out there.
Yes. Elizabeth.
This kind of echoes what a lot of people are saying, but I think that programming is going to be the biggest thing, because college is inherently transitional. So like, I've been here for 4 years, and that 4 years flew by so fast. I feel like there's so much that I still could have done, but I also packed a lot in. And so finding those ways where we can cater to different levels of involvement for students so that they still have those opportunities time and time again, because frankly, like, I understand that I've had a lot of opportunities, but I can't choose them all. And so making sure that those opportunities stay available for students, and that there are different levels of them so they can have different levels of commitment. I think that that will be very helpful in order to kind of integrate the college student experience, but then also the Chestertown community member experience.
Yes. My lovely co-host facilitator, can you bring the agenda up again, please?
But John, while you're doing that, let me just stick this in there. We as community members also have to take the effort to go up on campus and let them see us. I spend a lot of time in the library, in the student center. They have the best lunch for the right price. I eat in the cafeteria. The students, I think, would feel a whole lot more comfortable if they saw more of us, hanging out with them and doing stuff with them and being in their environment.
Okay. You can, the agenda, please. Hey, can I be heard?
Yeah, we hear you.
Where's my lovely co-host at?
Who's got it, Megan?
Yeah, agenda, please. Hold, let me do it again. Agenda. It didn't pop up yet. One more time. Agenda.
I see her.
I think it's a connection issue on her end.
Yeah, she just messaged me saying that her connection is faltering a little bit.
Well, what I'll do until she comes back is So a lot of what I heard from the students are community reach out, engage the youth, community reach out, engage the youth, introductions, meaning introduce yourself back and forth, communication and programming. Scroll down to the current progress. Now, ironically, hold on, I'm gonna brag a little bit. You all have the Don Dada of community activities at your forefront right now. Me, John Queen, I'm taking that title. So to answer some of you college questions, some of you college students' questions, concerns, solutions, how do we get things done? We're going to skim over these three things, but I'm going to definitely have the screen drop and talk about unification, which is one of the pillars in the 16-month plan. And within this 16-month plan, the Equity Advisory Committee have, I don't want to misquote myself, Councilman, authority on behalf of the town to advise them on new events. So before I end with this, I want to go ahead and give you how I would have closed so that way we can continue this conversation. We're going to start gentrification videos in February. Megan's going to help. Some SGA students are going to help. Other organizations are going to help on that. We're going to start filming and produce that and have that archived on the ChestertownUnites.com website. Students, if you want to know what's going on currently and stay up to date with the 16-month plan, constantly go to that website. We have a YouTube channel, ChestertownUnites.com. If you ever want to email for that plan, it's ChestertownEquityAdvisory@gmail.com. So we're going to start shooting those in partnership with working with the Washington College SGA. So a lot of people who might want to be involved, you'll have a chance to engage immediately in gentrification and some of the things we talked about today in a more direct and action-based solution. Also, I would like to extend us to have a part 2 and building on this community dialogue in March, if y'all schedule permits it. So we will definitely revisit everything we're talking. But in the meantime, my lovely co-host, you can drop the screen. But in the meantime, I want to start giving solutions and actions now. I want to start getting you all who are passionate about doing something now. And I have the opportunity and we have the foundation within our community with several organizations. But what I want to do is go to, I think it was Queen that had this idea, a block party. So right now, one of the events that I'm working on as John Queen, Bayside Hoyas, BlackUnion, and Equity Advisory, working in partnership with Washington College SGA and possibly the Downtown Chestertown Association, and of course the Town of Chestertown, is a block party where we, meaning community members and youth of the college student base, you know how they got every first Friday? We're going to do every first Saturday. And we're going to make downtown a spot for you all to come, for you all to have whatever you want down here. We want food, we want music, we want things that you all feel comfortable. But in order for me to successfully deliver that from the community standpoint and the town standpoint, I need your input on what this day or these series of events should look like. So what I'm offering today to the Paris, Paris, I like you. You talk all day. Hold on, Paris, I got you. But what I would like to do, and I will definitely be following up because me and Megan have been talking for about a month now, and all the conversations have been good, solution-based, and also engaging as far as what we do here on both sides of the table. And when I mean both sides of the table, I mean Chestertown as a town and the citizens, and Washington College as an institution and student base. So we are definitely working on that block party. We actually have a date in pencil. It can't be in stone yet until we advise the town and the town actually approves this. The first Saturday of April is the shooting date. So I'll give Paris the floor. How you gonna disappear when I'm about to give you the floor?
Oh, I didn't raise my hand.
You're not gonna bring that DC inner city stuff into this meeting. That's what this really is. I'm watching you.
I wasn't raising my hand. I put the clapping as like agreement.
Oh.
Yeah, you see, like this, like it was like an agreement.
Oh, so you're really giving, my bad. You know, I thought that was, my kids getting on me about not knowing what emojis mean either. So my bad. So student base, what do you all think about a block party that's dedicated to you all, into youth, into diversity? Is that something you all would be interested in?
Yeah, I can party all day, so most definitely.
Can we do something like constructive for the community as well, like a community project?
Hey, Queen, I got you. You gotta let us work the plan. We're going to give you everything you need. Where's Megan? Megan, correct me if I'm wrong. Every concern that you brought up to me, I've heard tonight. And for every one of your concerns, do I have a solution? Well, I'm not going to say John Queen. Does the Town of Chestertown and the Equity Advisory Committee have a solution for your all concerns?
Yes, John Queen and the Equity Advisory Committee is very much like student oriented somewhat. So they want to know what we have to say and they care about it. So 100% we'll be doing things and having
Yes.
solutions.
So we will be doing some things like that, Queen. But Queen, real quick, give me an example of what you mean.
I don't know. I envision artwork, like art pieces, kind of like an actual mural. Like I want things that are interwoven.
Yes. So let me speak on this, as now I'm wearing my chairman hat of the Equity Advisory Committee. So art, first of all, for Chestertown, the councilmen that they're here, if I'm wrong, correct me. The art culture, in my opinion, is the biggest culture in Chestertown. It's all about art. It's all about public work and displays. Right now, within this 16-month plan, they're actually looking for community involvement, community engagement, and input on a port statue, a statue to go down in the marina that shows something of indentured servants, of I don't know, social justice, just a symbol of that. And I'm pretty sure the Public Art Commissions of Chestertown would be delighted to do a forum with you all. Uh-oh, that might have been a hookup on the next part right there. Hey, Megan, you see how I flow right into that? But my bad, me and her talk later. But what that might do for you all is give you a chance to talk about public art with the Art Commission and give your point of view on what things should be done and what things should be thought about from a perspective of a student and a youth. Would you all be interested in that? Does that answer your question? I can go deeper, but just for that, like on the surface, is that something you'll be interested in?
Yes, and do y'all have a community garden by chance?
Listen, this is Chestertown. Now listen, we got everything. Everything. Actually, we have community gardens. We have one outside of Garnett Elementary. Like for instance, the Bayside Hoyas program, which I am the president of BaysideHoyas.org, shameless plug. We have a garden program going on right now where we give plots of land to families. We're looking to build on that. So this is one of the things why I was so excited when Megan reached out to me, because you all don't understand how much we have here, because no one has made the attempt to go to you all. No one has made you all feel comfortable enough to get engaged in this process. So on behalf of the town, that's my job now. Engage the community in this process, get all point of views, and have people build on ideas and solutions. So any questions or closing remarks?
Yeah, I just wanted to say I had my hand raised because I was also gonna mention a community garden. I think that we should just really focus on that and engage in that. I think yeah, that would be just great for everyone.
Yes. Oh, go ahead, Erica.
Yeah, just one thought with like the idea of a block party, especially when celebrating diversity, is assuring that there's also some celebration of queer diversity there as well. Because while I'm extremely privileged as a white person, I am also a lesbian with a same-sex partner. And it is incredibly uncomfortable to walk into downtown Chestertown sometimes with them because we get looks. And sometimes those looks do escalate to slurs. So while I adored Mid-Shore Pride when it happened my freshman year, there's not a lot of celebration by the town of queer voices, queer lives. So that's definitely something that would make, I know, the queer community on campus feel more comfortable engaging with Chestertown.
Yes. And let me reiterate what we mean by diversity. Yes, the climate is black and white right now, but when we say diversity, we're talking about several items. Now, the town plan, Chestertown Unites Against Racism, is specifically geared for that. But outside of this plan, building other organization initiatives is at the foundation of that. Because one of the core things is community programming. So someone like you being a part of this should meet someone in the community who can help you address your needs. You kind of already met them, but I'm not going to shameless plug. So what we'll do is we're going to close this meeting out. We're going to make this into an actual video for community consumption. We're going to make sure you all get it, and then we're going to put it out on the ChestertownUnites.com website. And this is an actual building block for community dialogue moving forward. And that community dialogue is not just Chestertown citizens. I'm very invested, and Vic knows this as well. I'm very invested in Washington College student body being involved. So I would definitely thank you all for attending today. Megan will reach out to you all with some dates for the next session, but she also will reach out to you all as far as being involved in some of the current activities that are going on now. If you want to be involved in activities and Megan didn't get around to you fast enough, email Chestertown Equity Advisory at gmail.com. Those messages come directly to me. Just say, hey, I was involved in the community dialogue and I want to be more engaged in what's going on in Chestertown and I want to hear more about the plan, and then I'm going to fly you in. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.